This is an RNZ podcast.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Your Money with me, Mary Holm. Thanks for taking just a few minutes to listen in while Jessie Mulligan and I talk through some useful ideas about how to make your money work better for you. Just remember though, this is guidance. Final decisions are up to you. Over to Jessie.
We're with Mary Holm, personal finance expert, and she joins me now. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Jessie.
How's the weather in Auckland?
Horrible. It's disgusting. And I just pulled over in my car because I was driving into the studio, but the car was driving a bit funnily, and I thought, I'm not going to go on the motorway like that, especially in this weather. I just thought I'd do it by cell phone instead.
Hope you've got an emergency fund, Mary, if something goes wrong with your car. You don't want to be hit with a bill you can't handle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, well, thank you for coming on today. And we're going to do things a little differently because you've come across a quiz and some results from a quiz. Would you like to introduce it, and then we'll start asking some questions?
Sure, yeah. The Commission for Financial Capability, I think it was last week, they released the results of a survey on sort of basic financial knowledge of New Zealanders. And in their report, it had the questions that they asked people, which is pretty, simple, I think, but only 22% of the people who answered got them all correct. And so I thought it might be quite interesting to see how our listeners do. I'm guessing that the sort of people who listen to this segment are probably people who are quite likely to get them all right, but maybe not. So should we suggest people grab a pen and paper and jot down their answers on it?
Either write down your answers, or if you like, you can put them into your phone and text or email them to me. I'd be interested to see how you go, yeah. So you just play along. There's no prize apart from the prizes that you will find out how much you know compared to the rest of New Zealand when it comes to money, which I would be pretty fascinated to hear.
Yes, yeah. We should have tried to organise a prize, but yeah, as you say, feeling good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't have a copy of your book banging around there, Mary? Do you want to throw in as a prize?
Oh, look, we couldn't we? Yeah,
Putting you on the spot? Putting you on the spot,
yeah,
there's a plug in there for you. Okay, so Rich Enough by Mary Holm goes to...
And then you can just send me the address and I can send it off to somebody. Yeah,
okay.
That's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah. It's called Rich Enough, a laid-back guide for every Kiwi.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't want it, you can buy one for Christmas. So,
Sure.
Okay, do you want to do the questions, or shall I?
Sure. I'll do the questions if you like, and then you read out the options.
Everyone who texts in, right or wrong, will go into the draw for this book. In fact, it's arguable that if you get none of them right, you might need the book more. But anyway, over to you.
Yes, that's quite right. Yeah. So I'll read the questions out, and then you can read because some of them have optional answers.
Okay.
Should we do it that way?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a sort of introductory question which just is to get people into the picture. So that says, imagine that 5 brothers are given a gift of $1,000. If the brothers have to share the money equally, how much does each one get? Okay, so you've got to think of that. You can write that down, but that's not actually part of the official quiz. But then the next question says, now imagine that the brothers have to wait for 1 year to get their share of the $1,000. So there's 5 of them, and they've got $1,000, so they shared it up between them. They've got to wait for a year to get their share of the money. And inflation is at 3%. In a year's time, will they be able to buy? And we've got 3 options. Do you want to read those out?
Yeah. More than their share of the money than they could buy, more with their share of the money than they could buy today, the same amount or less than they could buy today. So you could just put 1, 2, or 3, if you like, in there. If inflation is at 3% and they have $1,000 and they have to wait for a year to spend it or to get it, will they be able to buy more with their share of their money in a year, or the same amount or less? Great. Put that in your little text.
Yep.
Wait and send the text off all together at the end, if you like. Yep. Go ahead.
Yep. So next question is, you lend $25 to a friend one evening and he gives you $25 back the next day. How much interest has he paid on this loan?
Mm-hmm.
There's no options on that. There's pretty easy, that one. Anyway, and then the question after that is, suppose you put $100 into a no-fee savings account. So ignore the no-fee, but actually it's not relevant. So suppose you put $100 into a savings account with a guaranteed interest rate of 2% a year. You don't make any further payments into this account and you don't withdraw any money. How much would be in the account at the end of the first year once the interest payment has been made? So it's $100, interest rate of 2%. How much have you got at the end of the year?
Great. That's question 3, unless you put in the answer to the introductory question there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that just needs a dollar figure on it. And then question 4, how much would be in the account at the end of 5 years, remembering there are no fees? So that you've got some options on that. So just to go back, it's $100 at 2% a year. And
For
we
5
want to know
years.
how much would be in at the end of 5 years, and then you've got to give them some options, Jesse.
Okay. So is it more than $110, exactly $110, less than $110, or it's impossible to tell from the information given? So you can put a 1, 2, 3, or a 4. Number 1 is more than 110. Number 2 is exactly 110. 3 is less than 110. And 4 is it's impossible to tell from the information given. That's a good one. That's getting more like it, Mary. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to 5. There are 7 altogether, by the way, everybody. Number 5 is an investment with a higher than average return is likely to have higher than average risk. Is that true or false?
Great. An investment with a higher than average return is likely to have a higher than average risk. True or false? Good one. Yep.
Yep. And the next one is also true or false. This one says, this is question 6, high inflation means that the cost of living is increasing rapidly. Is that true or false?
Remember high inflation? High inflation, I suppose we've had high house inflation, haven't we? High inflation means that the cost of living is increasing rapidly. Is that true or false? Thank you. Yep.
Yep. And the last
You're doing a great
one,
job of reading these questions. I'm just repeating them because you're on the phone, and sometimes I'm surprised how often people like quiz questions repeated when I'm running quizzes. So I'm just making sure everyone gets a chance.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good. Yeah. Now, the last one, another true or false one, it is less likely that you will lose all of your money if you save it in more than one place. Is that true or false? So, Jesse, you might want to repeat that one too.
Yeah. So is it true or false? It's less likely that you will lose all your money if you save it in more than one place. And I guess that means, just to make it really clear, save parts of it in different places, right? You can't save $100 twice, but you can save $50 in one place and $50 in another.
Yes, quite. Yeah, very good. Now, should we give those answers now or wait a bit and talk a bit about them?
I think, well, let's just have a quick comment on, maybe you can tell us how many people or how people did as a whole in the survey they did.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can text your answers into 2101, everyone, if you want to be in the draw for that book of Mary's that I just stole and gave away. Yeah.
No, they 22% answered all of them correctly, which is quite low, really. But 2/3 of people got 5 out of 7, or 5, 6, or 7 out of 7. So 2/3 of them got most of them right. But just a couple of other interesting points. The older you were, the more likely you were to do well. But twice as many men answered everything correctly as women, and that difference increased with age. So young people, the men and the women were about the same. But as people got older, the older women did a lot worse than the older men, which is quite distressing, really.
What does that tell you?
Well, and what's more, women who have children have lower financial scores than women without children. And single women with no children have the highest of all, the women. So the women with children are doing the worst of all. And that really worried me when I read that. I thought, oh gosh, it seems like the men and women start out sort of equal when they're young, both of them not knowing a heck of a lot of financial knowledge. And then the men pick up more and the women not as much, especially if they've got children. And it just worries me that women are still, in this day and age, kind of relying on their man to be the one that runs the money, and that they, tell themselves that money's too hard and they're not on top of it, and therefore sometimes end up trapped in a relationship because it's quite hard to leave because they feel financially incompetent, Yeah. What do you think? What do you make of it?
Yeah, I'm making it up really, but in our house, and I think in a lot of households, you just take on certain roles.
Yes.
Not always gendered, but often gendered, I suppose, in 2020. And so, I do the cooking and my wife does the washing, and, it's my job to pay the bills. She could do it, but I guess if we we had another 20 years of marriage, that would be so entrenched that she might lose touch with, what the bills are doing, and I suppose that happens in other households to different extents.
Yes, I think, and what's more, in quite a few households, women are actually the ones that pay the bills. I've seen surveys to show that, but they don't, get involved in what we should do with the mortgage when it rolls over, or how we should invest our KiwiSaver, things like that. So the bill paying sometimes quite separate from the sort of bigger financial issues or the longer-term financial issues.
Now, speaking of the health of my marriage, Mary, I'll just add that my wife cooks dinner for 4 children 5 nights a week when I'm at work and feeds them all. So for me to say that I cook the meals is probably not strictly accurate.
I think your claim is
I said something else earlier in the show today. I thought, I'll get in trouble for that. I just said it off the top of my head. Hey, so let's go through these answers because we're getting short on time now. So what are they?
The question one, which was waiting for a year to get an inflation state at 3%, the answer is the third one, that you've got less. You can buy less today than you could in the past.
Yeah, but by the way, the brothers are getting $200 each for people who are interested. Yep.
Yes, yeah. And only 45% of people got that right. So if you got that wrong, you're in pretty good company, which is shocking. I think
when inflation is at 3%, you would expect people to know that your money is worth less at the end of the year, but only about half of people do. Interesting, eh?
Yeah. Yes, unless they just got confused by the question, right? Yeah. The next one, you lend $25 to a friend and get $25 back the next day. How much interest has he paid? 0 is the answer, and most people, 95%, got that right. I should hope so. Suppose you put $100 into an account with interest rate of 2%. How much will be in the account at the end of the year? The answer is $102, and 74% got that one right.
Yeah.
How much at the end of 5 years? The answer is more than $110. That was the first option there. And only 57% got that one right.
Can you explain that? Because people will think, well, if 2% is $2, surely after 5 years that'll be $10.
Yes, but there's compound interest going on. The interest that you've been earning in the meantime in the first, second, and third and fourth years, you're also earning interest on that money. It's all compounding up. Yeah. And so that's why you end up with more than 110 rather than exactly 110.
Cool.
On that one. And then question 5, investment with higher than average return has a higher than average risk. That's correct. 93% got that, so most people understood that one. High inflation means the cost of living is increasing rapidly. That's also true, and 90% got that right. And then the last one, less likely that you will lose all of your money if you save it in more than one place, which of course is diversification, which you and I talk about all the time. That's true. Only 2/3 of people got that right, though. So So, yeah, it'd be interesting to know how our listeners have done on this, Jesse.
Yeah, I'll send you an anonymised set of data, and I'll also send you a winner. That's all we've got time for, Mary, but thanks. It was fun to do a little quiz today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, see you, Jesse.
And thanks for volunteering your book as a prize, sort of.
Sure.
Really
That's
appreciate
fine.
it.
That's good.
That's Mary Holm, who's in every couple of weeks on a Thursday with financial expertise.